Growing older isn't always what people imagine it to be. Some think of peaceful walks, time to read, a bit of gardening, maybe a few friends nearby to share meals and stories with. But for many older adults, especially those over 70, the reality looks a little different. The truth is, sometimes you wake up and realize most of the people you counted on, the ones who knew your routines, your jokes, your heart, aren't around anymore. Some moved away, some passed on, some simply drifted. And now, even though your days are quiet, they feel empty. Not because you're doing nothing, but because you're doing everything alone. This video is for you if you've ever stood in your kitchen and felt the silence press in. If you've ever looked around your living room and thought, where did everybody go? You're not alone in that feeling. And believe it or not, happiness is still possible. Not just quiet, resigned peace, but real joy. A sense of contentment that comes from inside, not just from companionship. In the next few minutes, we'll walk through 5 practical, compassionate, real-life guides for how to be happy alone after 70, even when friends have faded away. This isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's about learning to make this season of life rich and meaningful, even if you're the only one in the room. Let's begin. Guide 1, create a daily rhythm that brings you comfort. The first thing many people lose when they find themselves alone is a sense of structure. Without phone calls to answer or visitors dropping by or lunches with friends on the calendar, the hours can blend together. Days start to feel like long stretches of quiet, and sometimes that quiet turns to sadness. But here's something powerful to remember. You still have control over the shape of your day. You can build a rhythm that supports you, lifts you, and gives your time meaning. It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler, the better. Wake up at the same time each morning, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Put on clothes that make you feel good, not fancy, just fresh and comfortable. Make your breakfast the same way you would if a loved one were visiting. Sit by the window, drink your tea or coffee slowly, then take a walk, even if it's just around the room or to the mailbox. Give your body the message, I'm awake, I'm here, and I matter. In the afternoon, give yourself small tasks. Fold laundry while listening to soft music. Water your plants. Write a note to someone, even if you don't send it. Your rhythm doesn't need to impress anyone. It only needs to serve you. One man I spoke to, Harold, he's 75, starts every day by reading 1 poem. Then he sits outside for 15 minutes with his dog. That's it. But he says it anchors him. It reminds him he has a life, not just a collection of hours to pass. The beauty of a rhythm is that it gives you something to look forward to. It helps mark the passage of time in a way that feels steady and safe. It doesn't have to be rigid. Some days your energy may be lower, your mood may dip. That's okay. Rhythm isn't about perfection. It's about returning gently to a pattern that brings comfort. You might decide that every evening before bed, you'll write down 3 things you noticed that day. A flower blooming, a bird at the feeder, the taste of warm soup. These details become a kind of memory thread. They weave your days together. They say, this day mattered. I noticed, I was here. And that noticing, that's where peace begins. Some people resist routines because they think they'll feel trapped. But when you're alone, the opposite is true. A rhythm frees you. It takes away the burden of constant decision-making. You don't have to wonder what to do next. Your rhythm tells you. And in that gentle guidance, you'll find rest. So build your rhythm with love. Don't fill every hour with noise. Leave space for quiet, for reflection. But make sure you include moments that feel warm to you. Maybe it's lighting a candle at dinner, even if you're eating alone. Maybe it's listening to old jazz records while you dust the bookshelf. Your rhythm is your companion. Let it hold you. Now, guide 2, find joy in the senses. When you're surrounded by people, your senses are constantly stimulated. The sound of laughter, the warmth of a hug, the smell of coffee brewing while friends chat. But when those moments disappear, your senses can start to go dull from disuse. That's why one of the most powerful tools for happiness in solitude is to reawaken your senses one by one. Start with touch. Surround yourself with textures that bring comfort. A soft blanket, a favorite sweater, the feeling of warm water on your hands as you wash dishes. Let those simple sensations remind you that you're alive and that living still holds pleasure. Move to scent. Burn a candle with lavender or cinnamon, whichever brings you memories or calm. Keep fresh herbs in the kitchen or flowers by your chair. Smell is closely tied to memory, and by choosing pleasant scents, you can bring back good moments and create new ones. Then, focus on sound. Maybe your home is quiet, too quiet. Try filling it with gentle sound, not background noise, but intentional sound. Play classical music, or the sound of waves, or the voice of a beloved audiobook narrator. Sound can soothe, it can energize. It can remind you that you're part of something living, moving. Taste is another simple doorway to joy. When you're alone, it's easy to stop cooking, to just snack or microwave something quick. But preparing even one small meal a day with care is a form of self-respect. Use fresh ingredients. Sit at the table. Eat slowly. Let each bite remind you that nourishment is still worth giving yourself. And finally, sight. What do your eyes see each day? Are you staring at blank walls, dusty corners, or cluttered counters? Try bringing in beauty. It doesn't have to cost a thing. Rearrange a few photos. Hang up a picture that makes you smile. Open your curtains wide. Let natural light pour in. Watch the way it changes the room as the day moves on. Beauty is not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when you're learning to be content with your own company. Reawakening your senses is like opening windows in a stuffy room. Suddenly there's air again, there's movement, there's life. Your senses are the bridge between your inner world and the world around you. They can pull you out of your head and back into your body, back into the present. That's where happiness begins. Not in the past, not in the future, but right here, in the smell of soup, in the feel of a warm sock, in the sound of rain tapping against the window. So if you've been feeling disconnected, dulled by quiet, and unsure how to spark joy again, start with your senses. Wake them up. Give them something to notice. And in doing so, you'll start to notice yourself again. You're not invisible. You're not finished. You are here. And life, even quiet life, still has color, texture, flavor, sound, and warmth. And that's something to hold on to. Guide 3. Build a relationship with nature. There is something ancient and healing about being near trees, hearing birdsong, watching clouds move across the sky. When friends are gone and you're left alone with your thoughts, nature doesn't ask questions, it doesn't judge your silence, and it doesn't require small talk. It just offers presence. And that kind of company can be powerful. You don't need to hike a mountain or explore a forest. Sometimes all it takes is sitting on a bench in a nearby park or walking slowly through your garden. You can even create your own little nature space at home. A few houseplants on the windowsill, a bird feeder outside your window, a chair on your balcony or porch where you sit with a blanket and a cup of tea. Nature speaks in soft voices, the wind in the trees, the shadows on the ground, the shifting of light as morning turns to noon. When you're feeling low, that kind of stillness can help bring you back to center. It grounds you, reminds you that you are part of something wider, older, bigger than your loneliness. There's something about watching life happen in nature that calms the nervous system. A bird hopping from branch to branch, a squirrel darting up a tree, a flower opening in the sun. It reminds you that time is still moving, that life is still happening, even when it feels like yours has slowed down. One woman named Edna, she's 82, told me she keeps a journal where she writes down the changes she sees outside her kitchen window. First snowfall, first daffodil, a red cardinal on the fence. She says it helps her feel connected, like she's witnessing something important. And she is. When you observe nature, you're witnessing resilience. Seasons change, leaves fall, branches break, and still life finds a way to grow again. That's not just poetic. That's practical. That's hope. When you're alone, it's easy to start believing that nothing new will happen again. But step outside, feel the breeze on your face, watch a bee visit a flower. Something new is happening every second, and some of it, believe it or not, is meant for you. Nature has no age limit. It doesn't care how many friends you've lost. It just welcomes you as you are. If you've lost people who once filled your days, let the natural world start to fill your spirit. It's not a replacement, but it is a balm. Take a slow walk around your neighborhood. Notice what trees are blooming. Smell the fresh air. feel the ground under your feet. Even if mobility is a challenge, sitting outside even just for 10 minutes a day can shift your mood. Your heart needs that kind of gentle connection. You don't have to speak a word. Just sit and notice, and let nature do the talking. In time, you'll start to feel less like you're waiting for something to happen, and more like you're part of what's already happening all around you. And that brings a kind of peace that no phone call or social media post ever could. It's quieter, but it's deeper. Now, Guide 4, rediscover your creativity. One of the biggest myths about aging is that creativity fades, that it's something reserved for the young, the energetic, the socially active. But that's nonsense. Creativity doesn't live in age. It lives in curiosity. And even if you've never painted a picture or written a poem or played an instrument, you have creativity in you. Everyone does. It might be in your stories, your memories, the way you arrange your space, the meals you prepare, or the notes you write to old friends, even if you never send them. When you're alone, creativity isn't just a hobby, it's a lifeline. It gives your thoughts a place to go. It turns your feelings into something you can see or hear or touch. That's powerful, and it doesn't have to be big or bold. Start small. Pick up a sketch pad and draw the view from your window. Write a letter to someone you loved and lost. Try baking a new recipe and decorating it in a way that makes you smile. Creativity helps us express what words often can't. Grief, gratitude, hope, loneliness, joy, all of it. One man, Frank, age 79, started whittling wood figures in his garage after his wife passed. He'd never done it before, but he said it gave his hands something to do. It gave his mind something else to think about. And slowly it started giving him peace. Another woman, Grace, began writing short stories based on her childhood memories. She said it felt like reconnecting with parts of herself she hadn't visited in decades. That's what creativity can do. It brings your inner world to life. And in doing that, it makes the outer world feel less lonely. There are no rules here. You don't need to be good. You don't need anyone else to see or read or taste what you make. What matters is how it feels. Does it give you energy? Does it make the day pass more gently? Then keep doing it. Don't tell yourself it's silly or pointless. If it helps you feel alive, it's meaningful. It's real. It's medicine. Creativity doesn't have to be an art form. It can be how you fold your napkins, how you organize your books, how you sing to the radio while you sweep the kitchen. Let yourself play. Let yourself try. That's how happiness sneaks back in, not with a big fanfare, but through small acts of self-expression that say, I'm still here, and I still have something to give. So even if you've lost the people you used to create memories with, you can still create. You can still make something new. Your story isn't over. Your voice still matters. And the world is waiting to hear it, even if that audience is just you, especially if it's you, because you deserve to hear yourself, to see yourself, to surprise yourself. That's how we heal. That's how we find joy, even in solitude. Just because the world grows quieter doesn't mean your life becomes smaller. In fact, when you live alone, especially after 70, your internal life, the thoughts you think, the kindness you give, the attention you offer, can become more meaningful than ever. Guide 5, cultivate emotional connection without needing close company. I know that might sound strange at first because we often associate connection with relationships, with phone calls, with someone stopping by to check in. But emotional connection is deeper than that. It's how you stay open to the world, how you choose to feel rather than go numb, how you keep your heart soft instead of letting it harden from grief, from distance, from silence. Even if your closest friends are no longer here, your capacity to feel for others, to connect with moments, stories, beauty, that never goes away unless we shut it down, and you don't have to. Emotional connection can come from watching a meaningful film and letting it stir something in you. It can come from reading a book that makes you weep or laugh or pause. It can come from writing in a journal, not just to record the day, but to let your heart speak back to you. You can feel connected to someone through their words even if you never meet them. You can walk through a grocery store and see a mother with her child and feel warmth, not jealousy. You can hear a song and remember someone with love, not regret. These small choices, to feel instead of turning away, to stay open instead of closing off, are what keep you emotionally alive. One woman I met, her name was Lorna, age 85, told me that she watches the same old black and white movies every Sunday afternoon. Not because she loves the plot, but because the feeling of that era, the music, the faces, it brings her peace. It helps her feel something familiar and steady. Just because you don't have close friends nearby doesn't mean you can't feel connected to others or to the world. In fact, some of the most powerful forms of connection don't come from deep conversation or daily visits. They come from simple, quiet exchanges that remind you you're still part of something larger than yourself. When you live alone, especially later in life, it's easy to feel invisible. You walk through the store and no one looks up. You sit at a park and no one stops to say hello. But here's what I want you to know. Being seen doesn't always require someone knowing your full story. Sometimes just a glance, a nod, a shared moment of kindness can reawaken that sense of belonging. Start small. When you go out for a walk, make eye contact with the people you pass. Offer a gentle smile. Say good morning. You might not start a conversation. You may never see them again. But those little gestures matter because they say, I'm still here and so are you. Another powerful way to stay connected is to contribute something even if no one sees it directly. One man I spoke to, Dennis, he's 79, leaves notes in library books. Not big ones, just a line or two. This story made me laugh. Hope it brings you a smile too. Or, well, you're not alone. Keep going. He'll never know who reads them. But in doing that, he feels part of a chain, a quiet network of human hearts passing encouragement to one another. Volunteering, even in very small ways, is another meaningful path. Some older adults read to children over the phone. Others knit blankets for hospitals or write cards for people in hospice. You don't have to be loud or outgoing. Just showing up in whatever form you can brings you in a relationship with life again. It reminds you still have something to give. Technology, too, can offer subtle connection. You might not feel like jumping into social media, but maybe there's a forum or a video comment section where others your age are sharing stories, reading, responding. Even just knowing others out there feel the same. That's a form of community, too. Or maybe you enjoy sending birthday cards to neighbors or leaving a kind review for a local bakery. These things might feel small, but they ripple. And in return, you begin to sense the world noticing you back, not with fanfare, but with warmth. What's important here is the direction of your energy. Rather than turning inward and closing off, you're extending outward gently, quietly, consistently. You're saying to the world, I may be alone, but I'm not disconnected. And in return, life has a way of responding. Think about the last time a stranger did something kind for you. Maybe someone held a door or helped you carry a bag or said something nice in passing. Do you remember how that felt? You can be that moment for someone else. And in doing so, you strengthen your own sense of connection. There's also a kind of peace that comes from simply being in shared spaces. You don't have to speak. Just sitting at a cafe, walking through a museum, or spending time at a local garden gives your spirit a chance to feel part of humanity again. You're not on the sidelines. You're in it, even if it's quiet, even if it's solo. And here's a gentle truth. The world needs people like you. People who observe, people who appreciate the little things, people who smile without needing anything in return. Your presence, your steadiness, your quiet strength, it adds to the fabric of the world. So even if you're alone in your home, your existence echoes outward. Every small act of attention, kindness, or care becomes a thread of connection. You don't have to wait for someone to reach out. You can start the wave one quiet ripple at a time. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Guide 5, keeping your mind curious and learning. When the noise of social life fades and you're left with more quiet time than ever before, one of the most meaningful ways to stay happy is by keeping your mind engaged, not distracted, not simply entertained, but truly alive with curiosity. with learning, with wonder about the world you're still very much part of. There's a common myth that after a certain age our brains just start winding down, that the season of growing and discovering is behind us. But neuroscience and life experience tell a different story. As long as you're breathing, your brain is capable of learning something new, of making new connections, and of expanding its understanding. In fact, many older adults who feel most content are those who've kept their minds open, even when life became quiet. They didn't shut off the part of themselves that asks questions or seeks beauty. They kept wondering, kept exploring, even from the comfort of their living room chair. Learning doesn't mean going back to school or taking on some big intimidating project. It simply means inviting newness into your mind. That might be reading a book you never thought you'd pick up, watching a documentary about something outside your usual interests, trying a new recipe that uses an ingredient you've never cooked with. Even just listening to a podcast while folding laundry can plant a new idea in your mind. There's a man named Frank, he's 82, who started painting last year. He had never picked up a brush before, not once. But one day on a walk, he passed an art store, bought a small watercolor set, and just began. He says he doesn't paint masterpieces, but every time he dips his brush in water, he feels something awaken in him. He's learning to see color differently. He's learning to be patient with himself. And he says the act of learning, not the finished product, is what makes his days feel full again. What happens when you keep your mind curious is this: life stops feeling like it's closing in. Instead, it starts opening up. You begin noticing more. You start making little connections between things, between past experiences and new ones, between what you've always known and what you're still discovering. That kind of engagement gives your mind a place to go. And when your mind is moving forward, even gently, it's much harder for loneliness or hopelessness to take root. Another beautiful part of learning is that it strengthens your relationship with yourself. When you explore new ideas, you're essentially saying to yourself, I still have questions, I still care, I still want to know more. That's a powerful affirmation, especially in a stage of life where many people feel forgotten or underestimated. And this doesn't have to be academic or formal. Gardening teaches you something new every week. Watching birds out your window can become a daily study. Learning a new prayer, hymn, or meditation practice adds richness to your spiritual life. Even writing down your memories of stories you've lived through helps you see patterns, wisdom, and meaning that may have gone unnoticed for years. Keeping your mind active also improves your overall health. Studies show that seniors who stay mentally engaged tend to have better memory, sharper thinking, and more emotional resilience. It's not about solving math problems or memorizing trivia. It's about staying interested, about letting yourself be surprised by something. Think about the last time you learned something that made you pause and say, I didn't know that. It doesn't matter if it was from a book, a conversation, a movie, or even a mistake you made. That moment of realization, that little flicker of curiosity, is what makes your spirit feel young again. And the more you feed it, the more alive you feel. In the quiet of your home, you have a powerful opportunity. You can let your mind shrink or you can let it stretch. One path leads to stillness and peace. The other leads to stagnation and sorrow. And the difference is often just a small choice to pick up the book, to watch the program, to ask the question. So whether it's a puzzle on your table, a map on your wall, or an old memory you decide to write down today, keep your mind moving. Not frantically, not with pressure, just with curiosity. It will not only keep you company, it will give your life shape, purpose, and color, even in the quietest moments. Because happiness alone doesn't come from distraction. It comes from attention, from discovery, from learning that even now in this chapter of life, there are still new things waiting for you, and they just might change the way you see the world, or even the way you see yourself. As we bring this video to a close, take a quiet moment to reflect on these 5 guides. Which one spoke to you most deeply? Was it the reminder to build a steady routine? Or maybe the idea that joy can still be found in the smell of a warm meal, or the feel of soft fabric against your skin? Whatever it was, hold on to it. Let it sit with you. Living alone as an older adult can sometimes feel like being on the outside looking in. But the truth is, this time of life offers a different kind of beauty, a slower, quieter beauty. One that doesn't ask for noise or applause, but instead invites peace, growth, and self-respect. You are not less than because you are alone. You are not forgotten because fewer people call. In fact, you may be more in tune with yourself now than you've ever been. That kind of inner knowing is rare and powerful. So wherever you are today, on your porch with a book, standing at the kitchen sink, or lying in bed with the screen lit up in the dark, know this: happiness is still yours to build, and it doesn't require a crowd. Just a little courage to try something new, or notice something old with fresh eyes. And remember, you're not truly alone here. This community right here in the comments is full of people like you, people learning how to live well, even in solitude. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.